Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm still here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, thanks to our friends at Joseph Syndicate, and I have a very special guest that's joining me for this segment. I'm excited to welcome Dr. Tiffany Wilkerson Franklin to our program. We're going to talk to her not only about the work that she's been able to do, but also what it's been like for her to make a difference in the lives of others, as well as to show them by example what's possible for them. Dr. Franklin, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Look, really excited to speak with you. For one thing, when I was prepping for your segment, what I love is that you've been able to set so many goals for yourself. And not only have you achieved those goals, by being able to achieve them, you've shown other people what's possible for them. What has that been like for you, to not only be an example for other people, but to know that you're doing work that you love?
Well, the work that I do, I guess it comes fairly easy when it's something that you're really passionate about. And being able to inspire others and live as an example for others is something that I've always strived to do. My rearing has a lot to do with it. My parents being from a very small town in Waterproof, Louisiana, and a resident of Tensall Parish for many years. And that just caused you to be very close-knit, in the community as well as with your family. And that's just been something that has inspired me along the way to help others because someone had to help me along the way. So it's very important to me that we give back to the community, and regardless of where we've come from, we can help someone along the way.
Right. And I think, especially with the work that you do in advocacy, I think all of us like to believe or would hope that we could be a champion for other people. Doing the work is a little bit difficult, and challenging. It's different than saying, I want to do X, Y, or Z. Why did you know that was something you wanted to do with your platform?
Well, I started working with youth back in 1996, primarily recovering youth who were using substances, illegal substances. So I saw then these children can't go to waste. And if I had $1 for every time someone called me crazy for doing this type of work, I would literally be a millionaire. But my take on this is someone has to do the work. Why not me? And I will continue to be vigilant in my efforts, to make sure that all children have a chance, regardless of where they've come from, how big or small their issues or their problems may seem to someone else. I have a way with kids, I think, and I was told that by a job coach probably about 16 years ago. I finally found my niche. At that time, I didn't know what she meant by that. She saw that youth were drawn to me, and I just didn't really realize that was my area, But I definitely pride myself in making sure that people are informed and youth are informed about the opportunities that are available to them. I want to change the mindset, regardless of what these children have been told. I want to let them know that they can have a second chance.
Yeah, that is such a good point, and I think we adults need to remember that for ourselves too, because a lot of times we allow situations to define who we are.
Right.
How have you not been able to do that? How have you not been able to say that, just because I may not have done X, Y, or Z, right this time, that I can't be able to achieve things moving forward?
Well, I think, again, it has a lot to do with my rearing. My parents were my strongest advocates, and talk about facing challenges, and I hope I don't get emotional through this time, but I lost both my parents less than a year apart, finishing the PhD program, and them never being able to call me doctor was something that I struggled with, aside from the fact of just losing them in general. A lot of people say they're not lost, but they're not physically here with me to see these things. So taking that emotion and just really putting it into, turning it into something positive, if you will, and what some people will call a negative. But my parents were very strong people, and I watched them together and how they helped other people in the community, and I didn't want to be a victim of circumstance, if you will. I've seen people, just go into deep depressions and stuff, not saying that I didn't have my struggles, and I still do from day to day, but I try to remember what would they say if they were here, watching me here with the Cyrus show. What would they say? I know they're my biggest cheerleaders, and they help me, to beat the odds, if you will.
I'm glad you said that about them being your biggest cheerleader, because now there are others that feel as though you're their biggest cheerleader.
Absolutely.
How does that make you feel to know that?
I feel warm and tingly inside, if you will. Just knowing that I can be a voice for someone who may not have that voice for themselves, especially our younger kids. A lot of times, those are young kids, they don't know what they're talking about. Some children are wise well beyond their years, and we don't tend to give them credit for. And that's something that we have to stop overlooking. We have to be more interested in what they actually have to say. And then take what they're saying, help them, to dissect this little piece by piece. And back to what you were talking about with setting goals and objectives and things like that, I'm a planner. And I believe that it's important for youth to know how to properly plan to accomplish their goals, and realizing that it takes baby steps. You didn't step out here and, boom, there was the fame and the big cars and the big bank accounts. That does not happen overnight. And that's what our children oftentimes see where they come from. But this is a work in progress. And it doesn't end today when I leave here, and it won't end tomorrow. It's ongoing.
We're going to talk more about that. I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, you're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We're here in Baton Rouge, thanks to our good friends at Joseph Syndicate. We're here today with Dr. Tiffany Wilkerson Franklin. We're talking with Dr. Franklin not only about her journey to doing work that she loves, but also what it's been like for her to be an example for other people. I want to stay with that point for a moment, Dr. Franklin, because I think there are so many people who look around them and they don't think they can be any more than what they see.
Right.
You credited your parents with a lot. For me, it was my grandmother who really showed me what I could be able to do. What has that been like for you to show these young people that where they are doesn't have to define how far they can go?
Well, a lot of it, Cyrus, has to do with going to them and meeting the youth where they are. When we come from the university offices or our corporate America offices, I tend to not dress a certain way because I want to have that first opportunity to build a relationship. So to keep them with an open mind. And I have teenagers myself, so staying up with the latest music, just kind of talking to them and knowing how to communicate with them in a language that they can actually understand. But more importantly, again, not being a victim of circumstance, taking advantage of the opportunities. If I'm coming to you, I've taken the time to come to you, so let's sit down and let's talk about what options I may have available for you. And let's not focus on what's around you, but let's focus on where is it that you're trying to get to. What is that end result that you desire? Allow me to help you get to that point. So just building that relationship initially is the way that I use to get into them or to get to them.
One of the things I've talked about, Dr. Franklin, here while I've been in Baton Rouge, and I talk about on the radio program a lot, is thinking ahead, appreciating where you are, appreciating what you've done, but not being stagnant.
Absolutely.
How is that like for you to balance, to appreciate and to enjoy the success you've been able to reach, the milestones you've accomplished, and to still realize that this does not define who you are?
Well, my rearings always remaining humble and, full of humility, and always being grateful for compliments or, hey, congratulations, why thank you. Is there anything else I can do to help you? Don't hesitate to let me know. So just remaining full of humility is the way that, I strive. Fame or anything like that, and I'm not famous certainly, but I do believe that the work that I'm doing is very important and people need to know more about it. And it's working with other people who are just as passionate, and if they're not as passionate as I am, they tend to get left behind. So, but welcome aboard. If you're on, we can definitely move forward. But I don't let anything like that define me because I'm mission minded. And again, if I tell my kids to remain focused, I have to be focused. They are my priority.
Something that all of us can realize. Again, everyone, Dr. Tiffany Wilkerson Franklin has been our guest. Great conversation with you. And Dr. Franklin, looking forward to staying connected with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And we thank you, our viewers, for tuning into this edition of Cyrus Webb Presents.